more seconds for 11.
Nope, that's
Oh,
it.
that's it?
You're here, otherwise you're out.
That's it, okay, right.
Welcome everybody to be here. Thank you so much for everyone. Thank you for being here. I'm hoping that today we get a chance to go over everything that normally we cover when we start a buying transaction from beginning to end. And we're gonna hear from both sides, as a lender and as an agent. And our goal is to learn from each other. As a loan officer, I want to know what I can do on my end to make your job easier. And then I'm gonna throw in there certain things that you can do to make sure that the transaction goes quickly, smoothly, and nothing gets passed on to the buyer, okay? So I'm gonna start with a story. So, as you all know, I was in the military for 8 years. One of the benefits that I had with that was we get the VA loan. So for those of you that may or may not be familiar with that, the VA loan allows us to buy a house with 0 down payment. On top of that, we don't have to pay mortgage insurance. So that's the only program out there that has that, and it's amazing. So that's a benefit that I make sure that I use. The first time I bought my house, I was 19 years old. I knew nothing about real estate, nothing. I knew I was in finance, doing personal loans, auto loans, collections, all that good stuff, but nothing about real estate. And so I went ahead and, contacted a realtor. I can't remember how I met him. And I saw a house, I drove around, I wanted to live in La Mirada. And I saw a house and I said, how much is this one? He says, oh, it's $135. I said, okay, I want to buy it. And he's like, okay, because that's how much I was approved for. So I go and he I don't know why or how.
I have a question. I'm sorry, what year was this?
Yes. It was a couple years ago. Anyway.
We missed that market.
Yes. Oh, let me tell you. Anyway, so, and it was right next to Viola University too, by the way. Anyway, so must have been an open house. I can't remember. And we go in. The listing agent happens to be there. My agent is in there. Now, I don't know who does what. All I know is I want that house. Help me buy it. So I walk in. He walks in, and he talks to the agent. He comes back, and he's like, "Yeah, they don't want to sell it to you." And I'm like, "Why? I qualify. I don't know about anything else. I just know I want to buy it. VA told me I qualify for this amount. I want to buy it." And he says, "Well, the owner happens to be here. And he thinks you're too young to buy this house." I'm like, oh, but I'm qualified. He says, yeah, let's look at other homes. And I was like, okay, again, know nothing. This is one of the things that I remember. Let me finish the story and then I'll go back to why I brought this up. So fine, we go. Obviously, I'm discouraged, I'm disappointed, but I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. I was not and I didn't have an urgency to go buy this house, but I'm like, okay, I'm gonna buy a house eventually. A couple weeks go by, my agent called me and says, hey, remember the house on La Mirada that you went to buy? And I said, yeah. He says, well, they call me back and they say that they'll sell it to you. And I said, oh, okay, well, can we go see it again? He says, yeah, sure. The owners are there, they're sitting there, they're just looking at me like, seriously, like, why do you wanna buy this house? I walk in or whatever, walk out, he says, we can make enough now, whatever. And I said, okay, I'll buy it, but I want it for $10,000 less than what the price is. So both agents look at me like, are you nuts? Like, you want to buy this house? We want to sell it to you. Why would you not want to buy it? And I told my agent, I forgot his name. I said, I'm not as interested anymore. So I will pay $125 for it or I don't want it. So I walk out, he calls me back, we go into escrow and I buy the house. That was my very first house. The reason why I bring this up is because it's sad to know that when we represent buyers, they depend on us to really look out for them, to advocate for them. And not everybody does that. And I mean in every spectrum, whether it's escrow, whether it's agent, whether it's lenders, whether it's whoever. And our job is to educate him. I don't think he fought for me. He was more like, why? He should have been like, I'm right, why are you not? Whatever, I don't know. But I knew nothing about why I couldn't buy a house, and it was so easy for him to say, no, you're too young, you shouldn't buy this house. And that was okay. That was acceptable at the time. So our goal is to educate ourselves over and over and over. And I think there's some more seats over here, honey. The more we learn now, I've been doing this for a long time, but I don't know everything. And I'm still learning, and I'm always open to get perspectives, situations, scenarios. I want to learn. So welcome to the class. My name is Sylvia. I am your senior loan officer for Champions Mortgage. Thank you for coming. So now, when we represent a buyer, agents work different ways. And Liz has a very unique way how she treats her buyers, and I really love it. So I'm passing it on to you. This is my business partner, Liz.
Well, hello, everyone. So, yeah, you guys know who I am, so I'm not even gonna say who I am. But thank you for coming to the class. So, yes, I have a unique way of working with buyers. I'm very detailed in what I do. I give them an outline of the buying process. I really want to talk to them and meet with them before I even start working with them. Every buyer always says that I'm pre-qualified, but I already had a situation where they told me that they were pre-qualified. Supposedly pre-qualified. I have the letter and everything. I'm already 2.5 weeks in escrow, and they were not pre-qualified. So what we want to do is avoid that. But before we go to that story, I gave out some handouts. So when Sylvia says that I am unique at what I do, yeah, I do. I am pretty unique because I do want to meet with a buyer, and I don't want to have the hiccups that I had in the beginning of my real estate career, which I think we all have to admit that we probably come across that way. So I have a buyer pre-qualified form. This is when I meet with them. So everybody will like to call it maybe like a mini app. It's really not a mini app. It's really to get to know them. If you really look, it's like a questionnaire. You want to get their name, their current address, and all their information, their motivation level, because then you know what happens. Sometimes buyers say they really, really want to buy. And then what ends up happening? No, you know what, I just want to wait. So we don't want to waste our time with that. So we have a level that we want to categorize them. Lender information. So this is where Sylvia comes into play. So lender information. They say that they're pre-qualified, but okay, you're pre-qualified. So Brooke, who is your lender? And if you can't tell me who your lender is, okay, great. But really quick, before we get to that part, I always do a side note. I love the fact that we have our in-house lending. That's one. And it's super convenient because as a buyer's agent, you want to have, basically, honestly, you want to have control of this whole situation as well as on the listing side. So I always like to ask them to get a second opinion, a second or third opinion, because if you guys didn't know this, and Sylvia can vouch for this, we are mortgage brokers. We're correspondent. We work with a lot of different lenders, a lot of different programs. How about if their lender in particular gave them a rate that's really obnoxiously too high, and we could probably cut it even better. So when you talk to them by getting their lender information and viewing that pre-qual, hey, ask for a second opinion based on what they give you. Give it over to your loan officer. In my case would be Sylvia. I'll be like, hey, listen, Sylvia, can you view this and see what's going on with that? So basically, as you get all this information and then you find out, do they have a home to sell? Because agents, you know this, sometimes this passes, you guys are like this. It goes like this. They probably have a home to sell and you're missing out on that transaction, but you're focused on the buy side. Well, if they have a home to sell, then you know there's multiple sides to that transaction. As you go on with the form, the buyer's wants and needs, you get a thorough evaluation of the buyer's wants and needs. The reason why I put it on paper format is because what do we tend to do as realtors? We always try to keep it in here, or wait, this is the best one. We try to keep it in here, but in reality, we're not keeping it in here. You know why? Because while the client is actually talking to you, guess what you're probably doing? Responding to a text message or trying to retain it here. So once you have it here, guess what you guys get to do? You write it down here and you give them a copy. Make a copy. Hey, we have a copy machine down here in the networking station area. If you haven't noticed, make a copy and give it to them. Because then when you actually finish all of this, you can go back to them and say, hey, you know what? I might have misunderstood what you said, because based on what we spoke about, hey, you wanted a house that was 10 bedrooms, 8 baths, like $5 billion, but now you're asking for a $500,000 home and I got to find you somewhere in the desert. You know what I mean? So have everything detailed. Basically, guys, make sure that you are organized with your buyers most of the time because there's that saying, buyers are liars. Well, no, not no more, because now you have it on here. The other thing that I did put out is.
Oh, I gave it too.
Oh, I'm gonna take this from you. When I meet with them, I give them this. This is a steps for the home buyers from start to finish. The first one says pre-approval, speak with the lender. This is a step-by-step tool that I give them because you know why buyers get lost. They're like, I don't know what to do. What's the next step? It outlines it easily. Speak with Sylvia, address any credit issues, determine the right mortgage. And that everything, all of that conversation happens on the lending side of things. Us as realtors, we can ask certain type of things, but honestly, we're not the experts. Who the expert is the lending side of things. So try to have lender do that for you. The second, home shopping, discuss the criteria. By that time, you already have it here. So it goes hand in hand. Third, offer negotiation. This is where you're already reviewing properties and now they know what we're looking for. We're researching comps, neighborhood, everything. Because what do we not want to do? We don't want to put a buyer in a home because, ooh, they're giving us 3% commission. No, because you're putting them in a wrong area, probably wrong home that they never asked for. Really listen to your buyer's needs and wants, because what you don't want to do, and this happens from time to time with a lot of agents, they put their buyers in a home that the buyer really never wanted, and you don't want to make them unhappy. You want to have them happy. This is their first investment. It's an important time in their life, and they really depend on you. And to be quite honest with you guys, you want them to come back for them to be a referral for you. Did I do that?
You did excellent. Thank you so much, Liz. So today we're going to talk about the I guess the most common 3 steps when you're working with a buyer. So the first one is when you meet the buyer, and usually it comes through you guys, the agents. You meet the buyer, and I want to know. So she explained to you what she does when she meets the buyer. Now I'm going to tell you what I do when I meet a buyer. The first thing I do is my number 1 goal is to meet them in person. I do whatever I can to meet them in person for a couple of reasons. Number 1, I do believe that will establish trust, bond. They get to know me. They know this is what I do for a living. Ask me all the questions. And I always say, is this you buying a house, or is it you and a spouse? What's a spouse? I said, we need to meet in person because you're going to have questions and you're going to have questions. I want to make sure I answer both. So once I tell them that, they understand that and they say, okay, let's meet in person. And I tell them, I work Monday through Sunday. So you tell me what time and I'm going to be there. So that's the first thing I do. The second, I tell them, we're going to be there for a good hour to hour and a half. And that's usually how long my appointments take. And I ask those kind of questions. But maybe I need to do this because I do everything from here. So, but I do this all the time, and it just goes an hour and a half, and I'm done. So one of the things that I ask is, have you talked to a loan officer before? How long have you been looking? Do you have any idea? Are you familiar with any programs out there? And once I get to know them, do you have family? Do you have children? Come on in, guys. There's some more seats over here. I ask all those questions, and very often do I get people say, we're here because we know I'm a first-time home buyer and I want the program for first-time home buyer. And this is usually what they hear from social media, la comadre, the neighbor. You're a first-time home buyer, you should use that program. So what I do is I take their information, we go through everything, and then I say, I know this is what you want, and let me explain to you how that program works. Can I interest you in other programs? And then I explain to them, these are the pros and cons on every single program. 99% of the time, they walk out with a totally different program than what they came in mind. That's my job. That's my job to help them. That's my job to advocate. That's my job to understand their needs. What do they want to do? What are they trying to accomplish so that I can circle back and say, remember, this is what we're trying to do. So that's what I do. And then once we're done, now I have agents, not you guys, but I have other agents that normally say, Sylvia, can you have a pre-qual letter like in an hour, 2 hours? And I always say, it takes me about 24 hours. Because first I need to schedule the client. Second, they give me the stuff. And 90% of the time, they bring half of the stuff or, oh, no, traje se me olvidó, or whatever it is. It just happens. And then the process starts. And I never want to push them to say, okay, you need to hurry up because we need to get this pre-qual letter going. I work at their pace, because that's, again, I'm advocating for them. That's my job, okay? So then after we do that, get them done, get everything, then I will start. Liz, I met your clients at this time, they brought me everything, I'm gonna start working on it, I'll have an answer ready for you tomorrow. Okay, thank you, Sylvia. Send her a pre-qual, there you go. So then I tell my clients, you may not hear from me because my work with you is done right now, it's gonna pre-qualify. However, any questions you have, please call me anytime. I remind them over and over and over. Then I pass them on to me. And then she takes over. So then that's when the second part starts of the process is we go into escrow. So what happens there?
Okay.
Or when you're showing property, actually.
Oh yeah, I'm showing property.
You're showing property, yes.
I'm opening doors.
You're opening doors.
I'm the Uber. No, just kidding.
And
Okay.
actually, I have a question for you real quickly, and I always wanted to ask this. How many homes, is it too many homes to show up a client?
Oh.
Is there a limit? And number two, and I'm working with an agent right now who was supposed to be here, but they couldn't make it because they have a client.
Can you tell me who it is and I'll tell them? No, just kidding.
We've been in escrow 4 times and they've canceled all 4 times. I just got a notice today that they just canceled the last one. And they are approved for $950.
Oh my God.
They have
motivated?
20% down. Iton.
Oh.
Okay, and every single one was different. This one, it's a good reason, actually. They're buying a flip. The house is remodeled. The client said, is everything that you did here permitted? Which is interesting because I don't know that I would have ever asked that.
You have to explain it now.
You know what I mean? Again, which is what I'm saying. I wouldn't know. So I don't know that, I want to say my agent probably said, let's make sure all these things are permitted. Well, we all know the city moves super fast. Like
in lightning speed.
lightning speed. They're like, they put their capes on and let's go. They've been in escrow 45 days and he's clear to close. And he told me, I'm not gonna close until the permits are in. He says, I wanna buy a house with no issues. I wanna make sure the house is permitted. Nothing's coming from the listing side. I don't know if that's happened to you, but Mike, I'm sorry, Liz. I asked you a
You
question
cut
that I
me
said.
off.
I did cut you off. I know it's
Why?
terrible. Bad partnership. Anyway, and it turns out that the city said, oh, it's gonna take several months.
Yeah, well.
Anyway, that's what I got. So my question to you is,
That's
how
like
many
Jeopardy.
homes?
Hold on.
But I think that's the agent also,
Yeah.
and I didn't mean to cut you off, I think it's the
Well, I already
agent.
did, but anyway.
Yes, the
But that's what this
agent
is.
and their client, the
In the
agent
beginning,
is
they don't know
not
how
explaining
to
things
answer.
appropriately to the client.
Exactly.
That
From
could
the
be it.
beginning.
That could be it. So I don't know.
From the
I don't know
beginning,
that.
they
This is a
have
4th
to-
escrow. And I was
From the
like,
beginning, yeah.
we're clear to close. I was like, oh. I understand that, but anyway, so how many homes is too many homes?
So I'm gonna piggyback off of the you interrupted me. Everybody's interrupted me on that one.
On this
on
one,
that story.
yes.
Agents, just a piece of ice. Don't be a loose mouth when you're showing properties, meaning like you can look, but don't freak out your client. Okay, because remember, you are holding their hands and we are jawing like this. But please, 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 we already know that inspections are going to be made. There's, things that are going to be disclosed on disclosures. But as soon as you open your mouth and say, oh, well, this is wrong with it, and I see this wrong with it, and this, and I think there's a leak over there. You guys are experts in finding the property, but let the actual experts, the inspections, disclosures, everything come out, because as soon as you start putting that one doubt in your client's head, it's gonna go downhill from there. So yes, maybe it wasn't a good fit for the home. Maybe that's what it is. It's not a good fit, but just be careful with what you say, because you are going to panic and freak out your client. Okay, now going back to the original question. How many homes do I show?
How many homes is too many homes?
Over 5.
Okay.
Over 5. Over 5. And I say 5 in a nice way, because listen, ideally it's good to have 4 or 5, maybe 6 tops. It depends, because there may be that one home that you do a drive-by, literally drive-by, and then they're like, oh no, and they're texting you, no, I don't want to see it. Always have a backup plan. Always throw in a backup. Now, I hate to say this, but this happened to me, but it was only because of the situation where The client was living in a hotel up north and needed to get into a home, and they had already been there for 2 weeks, and I needed to get into a home fast. I showed 16 homes in one day. 16, yes.
24 hours?
Within
Yeah,
the
I
week.
did. I've done it before too. That is crazy.
Let me tell you, and that was in 2015. I had already started working here. It was my first year working here. 2015, I drove up to Victorville, which I had never driven up there in my life. And I was like, where am I going? And they were up in Fresno. They drove down. They were staying at a Holiday Inn, and they literally wanted that area. So I found a bunch of properties that it was easy to go from one block to the next one. I felt like I was doing a maze. Okay, but I got them in escrow, but that was too much. The reason, now going back to the 4 or 5, how long is our attention span, guys?
15 minutes.
No. Leo, you're
He's already out.
Leo, okay.
17 minutes.
What's the training?
Essentially, you're
He's already playing games. He's like, okay, well. He's like, all right, he doesn't deserve it. I showed up, he took a picture of me, I'm out.
So think about it this way. Everybody's attention span is different, okay? Some of us have ADD, some of us have ADHD. So we just gotta be mindful. You practically will already get to know your client really easily. But if you go past that 5th home, they're gonna already forget the 1st home.
Yeah.
And the 2nd home. So just keep in mind, maybe 4 or 5, always have a backup just in case if you roll up and there's like 3 pit bulls in the front and a guy with a shotgun. You wanna pass that house and go to another one. There you go.
That's a good question. That's really, really good. Thank you, Liz. Okay. So now I'm gonna start asking a few simple questions to you guys. For you, agents that are doing all the work and showing property and talking to your clients. And these are questions that I want to know as a lender. Okay. So one of them is, what is an important skill set that you want to see in your lender? And let's start with you, Oralia.
A good listener.
A good listener. What about, let's see, Edwin? What is an important skill set that you need in a lender? What should I have in order for us to work together? Which we work together, but.
To explain thoroughly.
Explain thoroughly, okay.
Yeah, make them understand the
Okay,
process.
Perfect.
I wanna choose.
Sal?
Communication.
I
Yes.
wanna choose.
100%.
Gio.
Professionalism.
Okay,
That's a good one.
that's good, I like that.
Okay, I have one.
Go ahead.
Experience.
Oh,
Okay, what is it?
Creativity.
creativity, I like that one.
I have one, communication.
Yeah.
With you or with your client or both?
Both.
Okay,
Communication.
I love that. I love that.
Communication.
perfect.
Return calls, timely return calls.
Here comes another question that's very important. I'm glad you brought that up. How do you handle working with a listing agent that is non-responsive? Because as a lender, oh dear Lord, God help me. Patience, God has tested my patience.
Hopefully they have a good TC. Talk to them.
So how do you
That's-
handle that?
That's the next
No.
step.
Okay, I've had that happen. So if I have a listing agent that's super unresponsive, this is what I'm gonna do. Just so that you guys are aware, some listing agents are putting not their cell phone numbers, it's their office phone number on their listing. So basically they go rogue. You can't find them, nothing. Yes, they have TCs, but I'm not in a transaction with the TC. And 9 times out of 10, TCs are not real estate licensed. So I honestly don't want to hear from the TC. I want to hear straight from the listing agent. If I can't get in touch with the listing agent hold on, let me take it a step back. Before I get into a transaction, I want to know all methods of communication. Cell phone, email, WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram. I need to find a way to get in touch with you. If I'm unable to get in touch with you, guess who I'm going to go to?
Broker.
No, not the broker. You know why? 9 times out of 10, is the broker going to be on top of the transaction? No. I'll talk to the office manager. Let me find a team lead before I get to the broker. But I would ask all methods of communication, how they want to be communicated before we start the transaction, so that during the transaction, what they told me, hey, I'm going along with it. And if something were to happen, then that's a simple email that I'll throw into the TC in there, because 9 times out of 10, then the TC starts freaking out and be like, oh my gosh, I'm not gonna get paid because you're not communicating, because that's the first thing they think about. So then they'll be like, okay, you know what, you need to contact them. But honestly, guys, I don't ever want it to get that way. So before I even start the transaction or before I get into escrow, I want to know all methods of communication. What is your preferred method? Is it a text message? Do you never want to hear my voice? That's great. Do you want a FaceTime? Cool. Do you want a Zoom? I want to know. So that would be the thing that I would do before.
That's excellent. Because I've had situations where I've had it where my agent will say, Sylvia, can we close this transaction in 21 days? Because that's the way they're going to get their offer accepted. And I've had that. And they ask me, can you close it? And I said, absolutely. And I always say, I need 3 things for you to understand that these 3 things are going to stop me from closing it in 21 days. Number 1, is your escrow quick to send me fees so that I can disclose? Because if your escrow doesn't send me, and I tell this to Liz, so Liz can pass that on to them before they say, oh, but you said 21 days. I have had where I ask for fees. If I don't get those fees, I can't disclose. Part of that disclosure package says, I intend to proceed. If they don't intend to proceed, legally, I cannot order an appraisal. And I would not want to have you say, sure, I want to proceed. What are my fees? Well, I don't know. By law, I can't do that. I have to say, this is what it's going to cost you to buy this house. These are my fees. These are escrow fees. These are title fees. This is your down payment. This is, and I break it down. So if escrow takes 2 or 3 days to send me fees, guess what? By the time they send me the fees, now I have to go in there, put information, disclose, and then give it to you. And you're like, well, I'm at work. Let me wait until I get home. So my husband and I can review. There's 5 days.
That's Friday.
Then it's Friday, and then, yeah.
And Leo complains.
Anyway, so that's one of them. The second one, I say, is the house ready for appraisal? You'll be surprised how many times the house is not ready. What are the 3 things that we need to make sure that the house is done? Anybody know? Number 1.
Water heater straps.
What's another one?
Smoke detectors.
Smoke detectors,
Carbon
carbon
monoxide.
monoxide. How easy is that?
Chipping paint.
Only if it's an FHA. So think about it. So again, here we go back to the client doesn't know that, but you know that. So if you tell me, hey, Sylvia, just so you know, I checked and I will put that in on my emails. Hey, congratulations, the file has been disclosed. I'm ordering an appraisal. Lucero, you're gonna be the contact. The appraiser is gonna be calling you. Please confirm that these 3 items have been done.
Yeah.
Because what happens if they're not done?
You have to read
We have to send the appraiser back out there, and who pays for that? And we go back to what I was telling you, my initial story. It's our job to do the best that we can to represent our buyers. We have to do better than that. We have to, and I don't know everything, but if I make a mistake, and we can talk about mistakes later, I'll have to eat it. My mistake, I have to own it, and I have to do whatever I can to protect my buyer, because that's my job.
Can I do a side note?
Yes.
That's happened to me where I had already seen the property, we're in escrow, I see there's carbon monoxide detectors that's not even in there. I seen water heater straps that are not there, and I'm like, my client is not gonna eat, I think it's like $250, I guess, is it? $250
To go out
to do the
there and look and
re-inspection.
say, oh, it's there.
Yeah.
So right then and there, I'm already in escrow, I let the agent know, these are the things that I saw, and it's not gonna pass for appraisal. The agent said, no worries, it's going to get done, I'll get it done before the appraisal gets sent out. Well, guess what happened? You think it happened?
Yes.
Okay, so it didn't happen, and guess what happened on the appraisal? They called all that out. So
It's
guess,
subject to.
now guess what I did?
Raise the guy pay.
Oh, no, I told him my buyer's not gonna move forward and we're not gonna pay for that. You're gonna eat it and you're gonna pay for it. Can you do that? Yes. Why did I do that? Because here's the thing, listing agent wrote it in the email saying that he would take care of it, not a problem. Why should my buyer, and this is, you guys have to advocate for your clients. Don't allow things like this slip, because guess what happens? The client is gonna say, well, wait a minute, why do I have to pay for the reinspection? It's not my fault, this should have been taken care of. advocate for your buyer and talk to the listing agent. Listing agent should eat it. The listing agent ended up eating it because the seller was supposedly only gonna net a small portion, really netting like 100 something thousand. So 250 was gonna be, it was a lot for them.
Apparently.
Well, I can start. So I had my real estate license in Arizona 3 years ago. These are a little different out there. They got propane tanks and they have water softeners that are leased.
Oh.
So I closed this deal, asked about the propane tank. She's like, yeah, it's full. We just filled it up, but that would pool and spa and everything. Closed. All I had to do was go over there and open up the damn top thing, and it would have said empty. I think it was empty. She had to fill it up. It was like $700. I gave her the $700 because that was my fault for not going in there looking. And then I found out about the water heater. I mean, the water softener stuff later. I'm just like, okay, so that's like number 1 and 2 on the list. So, you know,
Okay,
yeah,
so
a little different.
don't
No,
let
but
that
that is so
happen to
good
you.
though, that's so good.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Les.
Experience.
That's my fault.
Yeah.
So is the water heater has to have double strap,
Yeah.
and then smoke detectors and carbon monoxide.
Yeah.
They have to have it.
And you
If
might-
not, then the appraiser's gonna say, subject to this, and we need as is.
That's not-
Yeah, and you might wanna take a picture, go
Yeah.
that extra amount, take pictures. So you
Smart.
can see before and after, because it might not have like the pan, you know, there's different things, so you can see what they did and, you know, if it looks the same, they didn't do anything.
Here's another question. Oh, go ahead.
Wow, everybody has a question.
Okay, no, I love this because you know what? The only way we're all gonna learn is by our stories. What have I experienced that I haven't experienced before? I wanna learn, even if it's from other lenders, I wanna know what they have done. So go ahead, Frida.
I know it's a dumb question, but.
There's no such thing as a
It's a dumb question. There's-
Yeah, I know, but where is the smoke detector in carbon, is, you have to put it.
I believe,
Because I asked, because I know it's had to be in the room or
Things have changed. Now they're
Yeah,
either in the
exactly.
rooms or it could be out in the hallway or close to the front door.
in how many?
And all varies. You can have 10 smoke detectors, it really
Yes.
doesn't matter. It all
No, the
varies.
minimum, not the maximum, I know.
Minimum,
3.
yeah, 3. As long as like, if there's not a, from what I've experienced, if it's not in the bedroom, as long as it's outside the bedroom, like over the door, you'll be fine in the hallway. But, yeah, and
unless anybody knows for sure,
Yeah.
I will find out.
Yeah.
I will talk to my underwriting team and I'll find out, because we have to know.
Yeah.
Oh.
Your inspector, you can ask your inspector.
Mine's better says waist high.
Yes.
Yeah.
For carbon monoxide. Yeah.
Between the kitchen and the living space.
So only one?
Carbon monoxide.
Yeah, but what about smoke detectors?
One in each bedroom.
One in each bedroom?
Yes.
In a hallway.
And as a two-story home that I built, it has to be before you go into the steps, like into
To the stairs.
I think it's
the stairs.
On the way to the
that we
bedroom.
can,
On the way to the bedroom.
Of course, no, that's a very good question.
we can
And carbon
have
monoxide.
Yeah, no.
you have a question.
appraisal plus.
Okay. Who else had a question? Everybody had.
I love this, I love
What I
this.
like to do too is, what I recommend, because every house is different, is like when you're doing the inspection, I'll ask my inspector, you know, where do we need, you know, because they're gonna call it out too. And then the carbon monoxide, where's a good place, because they're the inspectors, they're gonna tell us, so we're not guessing. Like, where do you
That's a
recommend
very
it
good
to be
idea.
there?
Final say so comes from the appraiser, because that's where the money's coming from.
That's right.
Because
Yeah, but
that, I don't
The
get
appraisal, I
Appraisal.
think the appraisal is good. It's good to have a appraisal over here.
I'm gonna
one day,
ask
like-
my appraiser and I'm gonna ask my underwriter, and I'll make sure I have an answer for you guys, for sure. Go ahead, Lynn.
We need to carbon monoxide if the property is two-story.
So you're saying you need to have one upstairs and one downstairs?
Yeah.
One upstairs and one
Okay.
downstairs.
And I ask my client to buy them all, keep them on the table, when the inspector comes, ask him where to put them. And then he will install, like the inspector said here, and then he will install them there.
That's perfect. That is so perfect. Now, here's another question, another thing that I've witnessed, or not witnessed, but I've experienced in my lifetime. And I guess this question will probably go to, let's see. Somebody has been doing this for a while. Let's do Leo. Have you ever lost a client because of a lender?
I'm sure I have. I don't remember, it's been a long, long time, but yes, I'm sure I have.
That was probably before me. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good answer, Leo.
No, a long time.
Beat that. Have you?
Yeah.
You have. Okay. Anybody else?
don't know why.
I'm sure.
I guess most people.
Oh, no.
I've pissed off
I've
a client
lost-
because of a lender.
I have lost clients because of my agent.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, that can happen.
Yeah.
And the number one reason for that is my agent does not answer his calls.
Mm.
It wasn't anybody here for sure. Nobody here.
It's somebody else.
Somebody that is not in this class for
Somebody
sure.
that's not here.
Somebody's not here for sure. So if you see anybody in the hallways, be like, oh, you're by the way.
It was,
But I'm just letting you
it
know.
was a SELL celebrity.
Celebrity, yes. So I'm just letting you know, we need to do better, right? And help each other. Okay, do you have any questions for me?
Do I have any questions for you?
I have tons of questions for you guys.
Well, no, have you lost, okay, tell me a little bit more about working with an agent. What do you expect from a realtor? Because
Okay.
because we can expect something from the lender, but now let's flip it on their end.
Yes.
What does a loan officer expect from us?
Communication, number one. Number one, not only with me, I don't need calls every day, I don't need you to text me every day.
Not even a good morning?
But, right, have my coffee ready. But communicate with your clients. Oh, that's huge. That's the number one complaint I get with my clients. It's like, oh yeah. What I've noticed, and I don't know if this is common, when, this is my biggest pet peeve actually. We all work very hard to get a buyer. Then I work very hard to get them qualified and make sure I get them the best terms and the best pro whatever. And then the buyer vanishes. Like, months go by, and then when I reach out, hey, how's everything going? Oh, pues no me enseñado casas, or that happens a lot. And I'm like, this guy is so ready. I'm like, did you know him? Did you interview the buyers? And that's one of the biggest things is, if you are committed, show the commitment from beginning all the way to the end. And some are very needy. That's okay. That's normal. Some ask a lot of questions. That's okay. They should. Some don't know and they need to be held. I will do it. That's fine. That's our job. We are licensed to guide our clients so that they can have the best experience possible. And that if anything comes our way, we have to be able to block the bullets. Go ahead.
So what if a client tells you I can't get a hold of the agent, they haven't been sending me houses, they haven't been taking me to houses, and you know they're pre-approved, they're ready to go, what do you do?
Good question.
Ooh, the loyalty.
Yeah.
Okay, class is over.
I mean, do you call, I would think you reach out to the agent.
Oh, dear Lord, yes. I will screenshot that and say,
What are you doing?
Jennifer, what, you have a minute? We need to talk.
Okay,
So
what
I'll
do you
send- I'll
Jennifer,
send it-
just so you know.
Yeah, for sure, no.
She won't give
No,
your
no, no.
client to somebody else.
Oh, no. Nobody here. I would be, and it could be many things. It could be miscommunication. It could be, yes, I did send them and they're not responding. It could be many things. At this point, I'm not worried about whose fault it is because I don't care. How are we gonna fix this? That's where I come in and I'm like, they're, just so you know, Jennifer, they're very, very motivated. They're really good. Mr. and Mrs. As a matter of fact, she's the one that takes the call, so make sure you call her. I mean, I will tell you because I really study the client so that I can, how can I get them to trust me to do a good job for you? That's what it is. Most buyers don't understand that there's two entities in a transaction, a lender and a realtor. They don't know.
Okay.
We know, but they don't know. Anyway, so we need to do better. So that would probably be number one, communication. Number two, that they fade away. Number three, that they let approved buyers go to waste. How that happens, I don't know, because I'm not on that end. But I want to say, if I was a real estate agent and you come to me and you say, and you make the time to go to my lender, I'm going to camp out at your house. I'm going to invite you to Gloria's. I'm going to bring you tacos, whatever I need to do to get you into a house. That's what I'm going to do. So anyway, hopefully that answers your question.
Can we do anything to expedite the process a lot quickly? A lot faster.
Yes.
Get Leo out of the way.
I gotta go.
Okay,
So, most of my clients are all referrals and old clients and all that stuff.
Old clients.
Oh, yes. Oh, this one,
Yeah.
Leo. Oh, this is a
20
good
years,
one.
20 years, like 20 years. Anyway, So long story short, I get a call from my friend. I haven't talked to her forever. She's like, my daughter and her boy and her husband want to buy a house and this and that. You know, and she kind of knows a little bit about real estate because we used to kind of work together a long time ago. And I'm like, cool, it's her best. I set her up with Sylvia.
An appointment.
And I know
Take
the
good care of
daughter.
them.
I know the daughter. She was a little kid right now. She's 20 years ago. Now she's like 28, 30, whatever. So cool. So I talked to her. I said, okay, cool. Meet up with Sylvia. I didn't pre-screen her. I didn't ask any questions. She shows up to her. I wasted her Saturday morning. I get a call from her. She's like, oh, they're really sweet, but she thought none of them are working. They don't have any jobs.
Neither one of them works.
None of them. Both of them. I'm like, how do they eat? I swear.
I was like, Leo,
I'm like,
you have please right now next month. Of course, it doesn't allow
Do you see why this is important, you
But
guys?
that's not like, what in the fuck?
Hold on, can you
Oh,
talk,
boy.
wait,
Yeah, I
can
was
you
calling my
talk
brother.
about our Jimenez file really quick though?
Oh, Jimenez file.
Our Jimenez file, we
Oh.
have a wonderful story. about
Our
Jimenez
clients.
file.
That's where her and I missed it a little
How
bit.
much you make a year? Do you have any money saved? That's it. Easy.
Okay, so let's go here first and then we'll go over here. So with Leo,
The ones that don't work.
the ones that don't work. So number one, can you, hopefully they have a job.
Yeah.
Let's start there. That would be very helpful, Miss,
Yes.
to that point. Okay, so I don't expect you all to pre-screen them and be a pre-loan officer meeting, like, you don't have to. But remember last meeting, we talked about CIA, credit, income, and assets? Those are the three things that are gonna help you buy a house. Your credit, your income, and your assets.
CIA.
CIA. If I say, oh, so we're talking, and I'm like, oh yeah, you wanna buy a house? Oh, that's good, honey. Okay, so how do you think is your credit? Like, do you know if in the 60s, 700s? Oh, pues está bien bueno, or oh, no sé. They'll know right away. The ones that have good credit, they know. Oh,
Yeah.
785. They'll know. The ones that have crummy credit, oh, pues
They
no sé,
hesitate.
no sé. The second one, oh, so have you been saving money for your down payment?
Oh, I'm
No,
not
pues
working
no
right
tengo. And oh, how have you been? That's it. It can be a simple
Yeah.
conversation. You don't have to do the DTI. You don't have to do the LTV. You don't have to do the source. You don't have to do anything. Just know that they have a job and that they have decent credit. And if they don't, then that helps me understand, okay, this is how I'm gonna, maybe we need to make a conversation over the phone and see their intent. Are they really ready to buy? Or the comadre said, oh, anybody can buy a house, and then you're just going to buy a house, okay? So we're talking about our Jimenez file.
Yeah, that was fun. That was great time.
All right,
No,
so
that's it.
I had a client, okay? You guys heard of the saying, don't assume?
Mhm.
Oh, I assumed. I met with the clients. She's pregnant, has 2 babies. He's right there. He's very attentive and they're very loving.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. So I'm talking to them and this goes to never skip any steps. So I skipped a lot of steps. So we're talking or whatever. I said, oh my gosh, how long have you guys been together? Oh, it's gonna be 10 years. We're engaged. We're getting married. I said, oh my God, that is great. Because he has one address and you have another address or whatever. Okay. Take an application, get him approved. We're going to escrow. Everybody's happy. She has her 401k because obviously they're not married because she lives here and you live here.
I was happy because we're in escrow.
You were happy.
I was really happy.
I was happy because we're in escrow. I was like, "Eek." So all of a sudden, I get a call from escrow. We're clear to close. We're like, yay.
I'm about to get paid. No, I'm just kidding.
And they said, Sylvia, so the CD went out. So when are we meeting with the wife so that she can sign the quit claim? And I'm like, oh no, they're not married. No, his wife.
Hold on.
Oh.
Did you guys hear that? Did you guys hear that?
His wife, yeah.
Thank you. What, can you repeat that? Repeat.
They said, when are we gonna meet with the wife so that is she gonna be on title or are they gonna sign the quit claim? And I've heard the first thing came like, silly goose. They're not married.
I would look at the.
Don't ruin my vibe. Come on now. And no. His wife. Okay, wait. Are we talking about the Jimenez file? Yeah, such and such as a. Liz,
I'm like
do
this.
you know about whatever? And she's like, wait, who? Jimenez? And she does the same thing. Goes, this one.
I said a lot.
I called him.
That was uncomfortable.
Hi, Raul. This is Sylvia. What up,
We now know the name.
That's it, Raul. Sorry, okay. So then I said, really positive. So I said, hi, Leo. So I hear that you're buying a house and you completed your SI. Oh, yes, I completed. Okay, good, whatever. Okay, we're good. Esker's telling me that you put your information that you're married. Oh, yeah, but no, we've been separated for like a lot of years. Okay, well, does your wife know that you're buying a house? Oh, no, no, of course not. Well, then we have a problem. I say in the state of California, it's a community state. If you buy a house, you're buying a house. If she buys a house, you're buying a house. So one of two things are gonna happen. Either she needs to quitclaim and say, I give you all the rights to the house, or she needs to be untitled. And guess what's coming in with all the down payments?
The one that's gonna have a baby.
Yeah, does she know?
That happens more often than you guys think.
Or the funny part was that they forget. Oh, I forgot I was married.
That's the little part that I said. Yes, so now when I meet clients, I'm like, hey, okay, so one of the questions is, are you married, unmarried, or separated? It's in the application. Did I ask that? No, because they look so happy and so in love, and
they're having a baby.
And they're engaged, you're getting married next year. I mean.
And you don't figure out that.
Oh, no, I'm talking to them. Usually I don't go like again, she made a good point. We rely on this. That's how I do. I'm talking to you the whole time, and then when you leave, then I write down everything that we talked about. Do I do that again? Of course not.
I think with experience though, because you're very experienced,
Yep.
that in your mind,
Yep.
you're thinking one thing, that they would tell you, that they would know to tell you these things, but a lot of time that's not common
But
sense
I don't
to
think
clients.
he thought, it doesn't matter.
So that's not.
Yes.
Like, what does it matter? 'Cause
That's what
again,
I mean, a lot
they
of
don't
people
know.
don't think that.
It's not going to be a.
She hasn't been in
bonus.
my life forever and a day. It's not.
So then I get a call from her. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna mention names, because apparently we don't say people's names.
The one.
La señorita. And she calls her, she's like, Sylvia, and her voice was not jolly, peppy. She was, okay, can you explain to me what is it that we're trying to do? What's going on? Are we canceling? Or is it? So then I explained to her, I said, well, so that means we can't buy a house. I said, oh, you can buy a house, but
You need a co-signer.
his wife, she was coming in with all the down payments. She was pulling all the money from her 401k to come in with down payments. They're coming in with 20%.
That need a quick claim or a new co-signer.
Yeah.
Or a new baby daddy. Anyway, so, okay. And I didn't say that. Somebody pause that. Seriously. That's terrible. Anyway, okay.
Happy ending.
So if you care to know how that ended, after Liz and I are crying in a corner trying to figure out how did we do this? How did you not see it? How did I not see it? And
I continue.
Yes.
Oh.
we were clear to
We're
close.
clear to close.
We're ready to sign loan docs.
They already had their furniture already set up.
They already put this in. They already put this.
I just talked to them.
Also, you just.
I didn't ask that. That was the only little thing I didn't ask.
Baby furniture's already purchased.
So now so you tell me you're talking about making mistakes? I made a few.
Wow.
I'm sorry. And the reason why is because when escrow instructions go out to the buyers, one of the things is an SI, which is statement of identification. And you have to put everything there. Are you married? Not married? Where have you lived? Have you married before? Are you? So then escrow said, hey, we're getting ready to schedule the clients to sign loan docs. Is the wife gonna be here to sign? So are we gonna prepare a quick claim or what, or is she gonna be on title?
So I have a question for you, Sylvia. So in that case, because the 1003 is very crucial. It's
It
just like
is.
they did. So we had two separate 1003s. So on the 1003,
Oh, no. I
You
put
did
it
not
all,
complete that out.
I-
You
again,
put unmarried?
I
instead
put
of
unmarried
Okay.
because we're engaged, we're having babies.
Okay.
Basically.
I
We're about to have a
assume,
baby,
That's crazy.
you know?
And then escrow, they're not gonna say anything till the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, they assume that you guys all know.
yeah, yeah, we know.
Yeah.
They're not gonna be like, oh, Sylvia, you know that pregnant lady, yes.
Yeah, I mean.
She's so sweet. Okay.
Anyway, so what ended up happening? Do you think that was awkward? It took 2 weeks for them to decide what was gonna happen because he hadn't talked to wife in years. She was not talking to him and say, you need to fix this. Rightfully so.
I was like Dr. Phil throughout this whole thing, okay?
I said, Liz, have you talked to them? No, they said they need some time. And I said, okay. So I'm like, okay, I guess we lost this one.
And
And
then
we're like,
I'm getting the notice to perform with a per diem per day, right?
but we don't want to say, oh, you want to hurry up and make a decision about your wife? I mean, anywho,
What happened?
so we ended up, she calls me. I'm not gonna mention names, but she calls me. And she says, Sylvia, wife is gonna sign the quitclaim, but I need you to be present because I wanna make sure that it gets done. If she doesn't sign the quitclaim, I'm gonna cancel. She says, I don't wanna be there. So she had no trust in him, but of course, let's still buy a house together anyway. So I,
know he was married?
No.
she knew, she knew. She was not surprised. She just didn't know that how that becomes a big part when you're gonna buy a house.
Yeah.
Because if you buy a car, who cares? If you buy a pair of shoes, who cares? But when you buy a house,
But it was his fiance. So how he's gonna be a fiance? when he's
oh well, yeah.
Hey, men nowadays.
Yeah, that's a very good question. Inquiry minds wanna know. How did she decide, let's continue to buy a house together? It's beyond me, but whatever. We're not judging here. This is no judgment zone here. Okay, so I was there. Wife showed up. He was sitting there. She was sitting here, and my notary was right here. And she's like,
You were the judge.
and she was going off on him. Everything. And I was,
Every word in the book.
okay, ¿dónde firmo? Madre, cabrón. She signed and she was gone. What is it? Oh, yeah. Where did I get it from? She signed, she notarized, and she was out. And we closed the deal.
Wow. That's a
Wow.
cool
Yeah, it was a nice
lady.
wife. How are they now? How are
I
they?
need an applause for that one. I mean, oh my God.
Where are they now? Where are they now?
Well, I'm hoping that both buy a house separate. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, it's like, if you want to buy a separate house without him, here's. Anyway, so I will say I've made a few little mistakes right there. Don't let this stay. I've made mistakes.
It is for those mistakes you learn.
Oh, 100%. This is why
Somebody else.
do I ask that question? I will say, oh my God, you guys are engaged. That's good. Okay, I'm gonna take an application. Okay, so are you single? Yes. Are either one of you married? No, you married to somebody else? And they're like, no, seriously, are you married to somebody else? Oh no, I need to know. Are you married to her or to somebody else? I will ask that question because I'm like, I'm not doing that again. Oh, and that was a simple question that nobody thinks. And I can tell you a few more stories, but that's gonna be another.
Yeah, oh, by the way, that per diem was $150 a day.
Ouch. Yeah, it's a good one.
We covered it.
Yeah.
I had similar experience, and that wife, still wife, decided not to sign the quitclaim at all. So we had to cancel, and she knew that
Oh, I
she's buying a
wouldn't.
property. She knew everything, so at the end of the day, she said, no, I'm not gonna sign anything. So it's like, but you knew.
And now you're like,
Yeah, so it was my first,
Oh, I have-
my first and my only one transaction.
oh, no, I have many of those.
Good
I've had
deposit.
so many of those. I'm sorry?
It happens, they lose a good faith deposit. after
They
that.
would have, yeah, because all the contingencies were
Yes.
My
removed.
contingencies were already removed.
Yeah.
Clear to close, docs were out, everything was ready except. Anywho, okay, so you want to close? I think we're almost. Let me see. We're almost there. Okay. let me see.
Yeah, good enough.
Oh, we're good, Leo? Okay, we're good, okay.
Okay, let me see if I can ask one more.
Let's ask Leo, are we okay right now? Are you guys learning something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I think I've asked most of the questions. Okay, so when we're gonna close, when we finally say we have, the CD goes out and then we are clear to close. So what does the CD mean? Anybody know? Closing disclosure. There are 3 things that we need to be able to get the CD out. Anybody know what those 3 things are? Just so that you know. Number 1, appraisal has to be in. Number 2, insurance has to be in.
Mhm.
And number 3, property taxes have to be in. If any of those 3 things are missing, of course, the loan has to be approved. CD does not go out.
Can I add on to that?
Yes.
For you realtors, when you go into escrow, even though the lender will ask, I suggest you let your buyers know, start shopping for homeowners insurance right away.
Today, right now.
Today. Because why is that? You already know what's going on, and I wasn't here, but you guys were in flames all around the areas.
Yes.
Homeowners insurance is gonna be super difficult. So ask them, once you get into escrow, I need you to shop for homeowners insurance right now.
So one of the things that you can do when you talk to your clients and you've been working with them, sometimes it takes a month and a half, 2 months to get into escrow because, I don't know, they can't make up their mind or whatever it is. Remind them, we just went into escrow, please call Sylvia, because I'm assuming you're all gonna please call Sylvia and make sure you get her everything that she needs right now. Remind them of that. Did you get all the stuff? And normally if they're like moving slow, I will let you know. Vita, I'm working with your client, you're heading on this or not. I'm just letting you know, I'm not getting their stuff, they're not responsive to you. So that you and I are gonna say, we need to hurry up, because some just don't move quickly. Yes.
And
I recommend that you have a checklist of what's required to close. That way they're not bothering the agent, they're dealing with you directly.
Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of times I'm usually very on top of my clients when I'm talking to them on every step of the way. I'm calling them every day. I'm making sure, did you do this? Did you do that? All that good stuff. But sometimes they just don't send the stuff. They just don't send it.
I've sold this, my friend, at least 7 houses,
Oh,
and every single time we do something, it takes forever.
One time,
It takes, how is it?
I'm like, you're not doing a good job. You're not saying you're doing a good job.
Sylvia, one thing I do when that happened, that the loan officer called me and say, oh, they don't send the what I need. I just told my clients, you know what? She don't receive it. So like, send both of us. Send it to me and send it to her. So I want to make sure so she receive it.
that's a good idea. Or you can say, you know what? I know you're busy. I'll pick it up if you like. I'm gonna be in the area.
Okay, so one piece of advice.
If they live far, I can't go.
Exactly, that's
One
true.
piece of advice for you guys, because not everyone goes into escrow right away with their buyers, and sometimes it could take maybe a month, depending on how picky your buyer is. Since it's already been a month and you already gotten pre-qualified, guess what she's gonna be asking for? Updated what? Pay stubs. So as soon as you get into escrow, remind your client, or have that reminder in your mind. Hey, you know what? We got into escrow. Do me a favor. Can you email Sylvia or email it to me and I'll forward it over to her. Updated pay stubs.
And don't buy anything, don't co-sign for
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah, I had
If we've learned something here is we are a team. I'm not one that feels like, well, that's not my job. This is your job, so you need to know. You and I are here representing a buyer, a family that they want to buy a house. Let's work together. Whatever it is, help me collect these items, or hey, Sylvia, can you call them? Whatever it is, but we are a team and we're trying to get them into a new home. Anybody have any questions? Go ahead, before you close.
So before we, anybody have any questions so far?
Yes, property taxes, appraisal, and what else?
And insurance, homeowners insurance. And a lot of insurance companies left California, just so you know.
Which now can be a contingency.
Now it's really, really, really hard. Yes, a lot of them are using the California Fair Plan.
It can
So
be,
expensive.
but honestly,
The
agents
California
are not gonna care
plan
about
is
that.
cheap.
That you guys
The
will start
backup-
doing that right away.
It's very expensive.
And also, if the house has solar panels, please, since you start the process, you have to contact them because they make
In the beginning.
all difficult. And the new buyers, sometimes even they qualify for the house, they don't qualify for the solar.
Okay, I wanna piggyback off,
100%.
really
Yes.
quick, guys, if you guys didn't know this, I'm gonna piggyback off of the solar panels. Did you guys know that a lot of solar panel companies are going out of business or are going bankrupt? So if the significant amount of the solar panels is like maybe under 20 grand, guess what? If it says that the seller's not gonna pay for it, and the buyer's it's gonna be transferring over to the buyer, be prepared that your buyer may have to pay that full amount because the seller won't pay for it. Be aware with solar companies right now, anything that's owed under 20 grand, it's not gonna get transferred over. They will get declined for the transfer because the solar companies wanna get their money, okay? That already happened to me multiple times just recently. Under 20. So like if they owe 17,000, it's not gonna transfer. They're gonna want the buyer to pay for it or the seller to pay for it. 9 times out of 10, the seller's already negotiated that they're not gonna pay for it. They're gonna do a transfer. So get your buyers prepared for that. And because you know this bit of information, also inform the listing agent of that and ask them, have you contacted the solar company or has your client contacted the solar company? Will it be an easy transfer? Because they are all going bankrupt and they're going out of business, unfortunately. 90% of them are going.
And even for the payout, they say 60 days, not even 30.
Yeah, so get on it with the solar companies as well as HOA documents right away, guys, because it's taking even longer with them as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I want to suggest is, listen, I mentioned this format right here. I also want to encourage you guys because I really advocate with the fact that we do have an in-house lending company. I think it's great. As listing agents, we always want to be in control of the listing. We want to make sure everything is done from start to finish the right way. Well, why can't we do that on the buy side? And why are we afraid to do that with our buyer? I get it that the buyer may have their preferred lender, but what about if you can help them out even further? And suggest, hey, you know what, would you mind getting a second opinion? It's not gonna take that long. You already gave me your pre-qual letter and your DU approval. If you guys are not asking or not getting a DU approval, there's something wrong with right there. Because you cannot just go into escrow with a pre-qual letter assuming that they're already qualified. Because to be quite honest with you guys, it's nothing. It's easy to drop a pre-qual letter. You could throw up a letterhead and say, hey, you're pre-qualified for $1 billion and you're only pre-qualified for 100,000.
And we can tell them like, we can maybe
get you a better rate, a better deal. That happened to me most recently on a transaction that I just closed in Pomona. They were actually getting a 6.75 rate. That transaction was super horrible with that lender because that lender, and Sylvia knows this, that lender didn't even discuss disclosures with the client. And guess what they did a week before we were supposed to close? They told me, we don't want to move forward with this lender. And I'm like, it's a week before we have to close, and this is a VA loan. So they're like, we don't like the rate, we want to go with you. And I had mentioned it to them from the get-go. So they came to us, we got them a heck of a lot better rate, we were able to close it out. But all in all, guys, what I'm suggesting is, again, be an advocate for your buyer, look at every aspect of it. Obviously, you're looking at properties, making sure that it's a good fit for them. Don't put them next to an industrial area where there's a lot of smoke and stuff like that. Put them in a nice area, but at the same time, when it comes down to the lending aspect of it, always offer for a second opinion. It doesn't hurt because remember, even though that rate may be really whatever they're getting, you never know if you can actually save them a couple of $100, even $50. It does make a difference because come on, guys, let's think about it this way. We go to the market and produce alone is like $50. We come out of there with over $100 bill. We really didn't get anything. So imagine what you could do for your client because they're always going to remember that. We have our loan officers ready here at all times. They can come and meet with them here at the office in the conference room. We have our processing team that's really good. So again, not that I'm saying that you should do it, but if you want to have control of the transaction and actually make it a smooth transaction, ask for an opinion, ask for a second opinion. That's what we all do. We always want a second opinion because it helps out. And another thing, just remember that we have a support system here. So it's not just you as an agent, you have other agents that can brainstorm with you, but also your lending team is your support system. They'll guide you and help you out and even help you understand if you wanted to learn a little bit more, what is DTI, what is LTV, what programs are out there, because what does a buyer always say? Oh, well, my family member told me that I can get a county assistant program or a city program. Do you know anything about that? You know what? Let's talk to the lending. Lending will have all that information. Get well versed in what's going on in the counties and the cities and everything. And always remember that even with these city programs, remember it's based on whether they have all the funds or not. So at least get in the know and just have a step up on your game when you're representing your buyers. But other than that, I think we did great, right? We did good.
Yeah, okay, thank you for being here, everybody. So Taco Bell, sorry, hopefully. Help yourselves, it was a pleasure. I'm downstairs, if you guys need anything, I'm always available to help you. My pens are there, have my phone number in there. You're welcome to reach out anytime and.
Use my
Or-
cheat sheet.
Yes.
Put your names on it, use it.
Do you have one?
Actually, there's one, there's not in the back, I'll email it to you. Oh, here you go.
Oh, yeah, we can go.
Yeah, use it, copy it, put
You got
your
it.
name on it, don't leave my name on
It's a
it.
pleasure, thank you everybody for being here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.